This is an NBC News special report.
Massive cleanups are underway in the South after tornadoes ripped through communities there this weekend. Tornadoes killed 6 people in Tennessee, including a child, left dozens more seriously injured. The scenes, they are devastating. Houses leveled, roofs ripped off, mobile homes flipped on top of one another, and cars flung across streets. Families are mourning the loss of loved ones and neighbors as they try to pick up the pieces of their lives that have been left behind. Here's some of what that looked like both during and after the storms.
We just got hit with a tornado. I saw it last minute. Oh my gosh, everything's gone.
I was trying to go in the closet when I got that alert. I just remember opening the closet door and just turning around. The wind just took me, and I just remember waking up on this side of my house. You don't want to imagine. I mean, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. It's kind of horrible. But I'm just glad we were able to walk away from it, because looking at this here, you would be like, how did y'all get out of it?
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking. It's just very, very heartbreaking.
He was 31 years old. He got a 10-year-old boy. And that's another reason I didn't sleep last night, too. So it's not, I'm thankful that we're all alive, but what hurts me more than anything is he lost his life last night. That's what hurts more than anything. It's not that all this material stuff can be replaced, but my friend can.
And tonight, Tennessee is still under a state of emergency with 20,000 people without power. NBC News correspondent Blaine Alexander has more.
Well, here in Clarksville, just an hour outside of Nashville, officials say that both here and all across the storm's path, there are so many structures that look like this one, either barely standing or needing to be demolished. In fact, hundreds were impacted either from minor damage all the way to being totally destroyed. This home, though, really tells kind of the story of what we have seen across the region. When you look, yes, you see devastation like this. There are homes just next door that don't even exist anymore, knocked off the foundation. While across the street, you see some that are barely even touched. It really just speaks to the unpredictable nature of this storm. And while you see scenes like this on a grand scale, you also see small details like this, small belongings that have been pulled out of the house, like a children's toy. I was even here when a woman's high school artwork was pulled out. She found a suitcase, different things like that people are really going through the rubble and trying to salvage in the aftermath of this storm. Now, certainly, as we're seeing scenes like this, we're also hearing the stories, the escape stories. I spoke with one gentleman on the street who was inside. He was outside while his 3 children were inside watching TV. He decided rather than riding it out inside, he would put them in a car and outrun the storm. Miraculously, they made it, but unfortunately, there were 6 deaths across the storm zone and dozens more were taken to the hospital. Now, of course, the recovery is just getting underway. We've seen volunteers behind us, people who have been coming and going through the wreckage, trying to help people start the long process of rebuilding. And then another thing on top of that, power, electricity. There are still thousands in the area without electricity tonight. All as temperatures are set to dip into the 20s. So certainly a race against the clock as people start the recovery effort in Tennessee. Back to you.
NBC News correspondent Blaine Alexander, thank you. It's not just the South getting slammed by storms. The same storm that wreaked havoc in Tennessee, it also brought heavy rain and wind to the Northeast this weekend. Areas like New York and Connecticut saw almost 4 inches of rain, some of it still coming down today. The bad weather leaving travelers out of luck with thousands of flights either delayed or canceled. Fortunately, most of the weather alerts that were in place earlier for the Northeast have now been cleared. NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns is here to tell us more about what we can expect moving forward. Good evening, Bill.
Well, good evening to you, Allison. And what a storm and what a tragedy it was with all the tornadoes. 32 in all, of course, the 6 fatalities. And just the worst thing about tornadoes is that 1 hour, the house, the community is fine. Then the storm comes through and, it's going to take months and in some cases maybe years to be the same. So let's kind of sum up where we are with tornado season. We actually haven't had many tornadoes recently, but on the year, the average tornado count year to date is about 1368. We're a little bit above that, but nothing extraordinary. It's been a very average average tornado year. And as far as tornado deaths go, now because of these 6, we're up to 82 this year. That's about 4 times as many as last year, but that's almost a little misleading because the 2 years before that were actually pretty high and above average. Normally every year we average roughly about 71 fatalities, but going back 2017, 2018, 2019, the numbers were really low. So again, if you average this all out, it's kind of similar to what we have this year. So really nothing that we could say because of climate change or anything else. It's just been a very typical average tornado season. But of course, we'd all love it to be below average and not have to deal with what our friends in Tennessee are going through right now. So where do we go from here? The storm is gone. We're going to see warm temperatures, and that's going to be the theme maybe through the new year. I mean, there's no end in sight to this warmth. Little Rock, 60 tomorrow. Nashville, 57. Then as we head towards the middle and end of the week, we get up near 50 in Cleveland, Chicago, mid-40s, middle of December. No problem there, right? New York's going to be about 50 by Friday. And as far as rainfall goes, this is over the next 7 days. The only storm we have to talk about is one that's going to dive down through Texas, mostly rain. There'll be a little bit of snow on the north side of it. And then the storm will be in the Gulf. By the time we get towards the weekend, it goes through Florida, and then it may try to come up the coast on Monday. You get excited, snow lovers. You're like, oh, a storm coming up the coast in December? Often that can be like a big snowstorm. Too warm, unfortunately, for anyone that loves snow. This is the 7-day snow forecast, and it's paltry. There's not much to talk about. And it's going to stay warm, too. This is the 8 to 14-day forecast. This is the week before Christmas. Bright red means it's going to be warmer than normal. In some cases, maybe even near record high, especially in the northern plains. Only Florida is going to have normal temperatures, no cold air in sight. And it's going to be fairly dry heading up towards Christmas week, too. So this is great for travel, but horrendous if you're anyone that did want to get into any snow or a white Christmas. Because if you don't have snow on the ground now, Ellison, odds are you're not getting it. It's only going to melt from here on out. But maybe we'll have to wait till after the new year for winter to kick in.